Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob.
I'm Luke.
And in today's video, we are doing a full review for The Crowded Room on Apple TV Plus. If you like the sound of that, like and subscribe and stick around.
So, The Crowded Room. I'll get Jacob to summarize it for us. What is it?
So basically, The Crowded Room is a story about someone that has been through a hardship experience, and then he goes through something and he has experiences through school. He meets Amanda Seyfried as a psychiatrist, and then he gets interviewed. We get to see him speak different accents, and then we get to see stuff go on, and then he's on trial for shooting at people, and things happen that there's twists and turns and stuff happens.
Yeah, the show's definitely full of twists and turns. So it's based upon a book which is based upon a true story, but it gets confusing. The main character, played by Tom Holland from Spider-Man, he is playing someone called Danny Sullivan in this show, but in real life it's based upon a guy called Billy Milligan, who is now, after doing some research, found out is famous for being the first person to be acquitted of charges based upon having multiple personality disorder or dissociated personality disorder. So basically, it's quite an influential or important case in American history and also in terms of psychology, because before that, this disability or this mental health issue wasn't in the DSM. So both Amanda Seyfried's character is famous for kind of getting it publicized and put in the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is a psychology book that helped determine if someone has something, and also him getting off, which kind of changed the precedents for future cases. So it is with the show doesn't explain it all, but it's actually quite epic when you think about it. So as you said, Tom Holland's character is in trouble for firing shots, and we see him acting with other people, and then later as we go out we realize that these are not actually their split personalities, and it was believed he had up to 20 plus personalities, and we saw 8 maybe in total in the show. So it's very interesting and hard to explain. So do you want to start off with the score? What do you give the plot out of 10?
I gave this an 8.5. I personally really found the plot really engaging, really enjoyed how they kept you on the edge of the seat if the people that he was talking to are actually there or not. I really enjoyed watching it week to week. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy this show, but personally I really enjoyed the uniqueness of the plot and watching this story unfold. And I know the plot's not going to be for everyone, and that's why it's not high, but personally I found the plot really good.
I gave the plot an 8. I think it had a lot there and had a lot of potential, but without doing that little bit of research and finding out what was going on, it got better once I did. That's more it. I think maybe with a bit more explanation and kind of knowing what we're in for would have improved the plot, but would it have taken away the experience? Would have been sitting there going, oh, that person's not real, that person's not real. And is that what they were trying to avoid? I guess they took a gamble with the way they presented the show and presented the plot. It's up to interpretation whether you like that. So I gave it an 8. What about the acting in this?
The acting very stands out with Tom Holland and Amanda Seyfried. They're the two main standout. Tom Holland has even said he's taking the year off from this role. Or I can see why, but part of me, when he first said that, I thought it was going to be a bit more extreme, but I guess he did a fantastic acting performance. I really enjoyed how he portrayed every personality they did, and the Amanda Seyfried definitely did a great performance as well. I
gave it a 9.5. I really thought the acting was by far the standout. I don't know if I buy that Tom Holland needs a break from this.
That's what he said.
He did portray different personalities, but I don't think he really portrayed someone psychotic at any point, unless there was scenes removed. It's not like I could understand if Joaquin Phoenix need to take a break after doing the Joker. That was psychotic. Or you understand obviously what happened with Heath Ledger from playing, again, the Joker. But this, I don't think it was psychotic. It was just what an actor had to do. I'm going to be British one day and I'm going to be this one day. Like, I don't think that to me would have messed with your head as much as they're played off. But, good on him if he wants a break. But I don't see it. But good acting nonetheless. What about the presentation and experience out of 10?
I really enjoyed the presentation with the opening song, with how they showed you how he has all the personalities in his mind. He can't control it. He's gone through a very dramatic event, and also how the personalities are in a certain location and how they visually did that. I liked it, but I feel like they could have done it differently. But I did like how they did it. And yeah, really enjoyed the presentation with giving it an 8. Yeah.
So I gave the presentation and experience a 7.5 only because I felt like it didn't get good until I found a bit more out. But I do like that it had you kind of wondering, guessing. But then eventually it became very obvious, which took away from that game. I think it was just weird. I'm going to put it that way. I think when they do the scenes inside his head and it's kind of like a barn and they're talking to each other, kudos, it's clever, but it came across weird, and that's really it, and it hurt it. And I think it was a gamble. It was either going to be like, this is a masterpiece, they've presented what it's like in someone's head that has dissociative personality disorder. I feel like it came off weird, but it could have went either way, so good on them for trying. It just was on the weird scale for me. What about the ending for this show?
I really enjoyed the ending. This gets an 8.5. I liked how we went through a journey with the character. It ended in a nice rainbow, but they did rush one part of the story that I thought one thing happens and then it kind of wrapped up too nicely. That's the one thing that I didn't like about the ending. I felt like they should have done that a bit longer, but besides that, I thought the ending was perfect.
I gave the ending a 7.5. I think it wrapped up a little quick. The show was best when it went a bit more in depth and we got to see him being a bit more like psychotic and seeing the personalities play out a bit more. And I think it was kind of just the last couple episodes they try to smash it out, and I think it just hurt the ending a bit. And it just didn't have that epicness of when he got off and you go, wow, they've finally proven this. And they downplayed it when it actually seems like it was something. It's a massive deal in history, but they underplayed it. It's kind of sad, but maybe that's how it was. They did Amanda Seyfried's character, when one part at the end they ask her about what was it like when it happened, and this in the courtroom she said, it was kind of underwhelming. There was no one there giving a post-match interview, or it was just like it was just done. And maybe that's what they wanted us to feel what actually happened in real life. But yeah, the ending was hurt a little bit. Originality or uniqueness of this show.
This is definitely the best category that it scores in. This gets a 9.5. I really enjoyed the show and how it does its uniqueness with taking something that has happened and portraying it on screen. The show does an amazing job in this factor. If you want something new and unique, I would definitely recommend this show for this category. If you want something new and that Hollywood and those sort of things don't do these days, I would highly recommend this show for that.
I gave it a 9 for this because I think, one, it was original in the sense that it's a story I didn't know about, and I'm glad I do know about it. It's original and unique in the way that it presented it. Even though I do have my qualms with the way they did it, it was still, they had a go at it and it was different. So it's without a doubt unique and original, but it does come with its flaws. It's a 9 for that. What about, we've added some new categories for today. What do you think is its audience appeal? If we had 10 people in a room, how many out of those do you think would actually like this show?
I would say, even though it scores highly on its uniqueness, most people I don't think would get that show. And that's not saying that people are silly or anything. I just think most people, it wouldn't gravitate. That's why I would get a 5. I think half people would, because some people love original content, but some people would go, it's not for me, I don't want to watch it, and that's fine. But that's why I'm in the middle with that score. Yeah.
I've also given it a 5. I think half the people will be interested in giving it a go because, one, being in a limited series makes things appealing. Being a true story makes it appealing. But I also think the subject matter might deter a lot of people. So through that, I think half the people in a room, or 5 out of 10 people, are going to find this show appealing. How about recommendability? If we had 10 people in a room, how many of those do you think you could recommend this to and be confident they're going to like it?
I'd say it gets a 6. I would say I would be able to convince half of the people. I would try and gravitate towards its uniqueness, and there's not a lot of unique stuff out there. You need to watch this show for that reason. But the 4 or 5 would say, oh, that sounds a bit too weird for me, but I would get some people to watch it for that reason. That's why for me it gets a 6.
I also gave it a 6. I think if I was to try and convince 10 people to watch this show, I'd be pretty confident 6 of them are going to come back and go, thank you for that recommendation. 4 of them are going to probably fall asleep or find it really weird. But those that are willing to give it a go will like it. But as with the last scoring, the appeal, I don't think that many people are going to give it a go. So I think if you do give it a go, you're going to like it, but it's hard to convince you to give it a go. Rewatchability, or bingeability in this case, being a limited series.
I gave this a 7. I think it's very bingeable as a limited series. And also asking the question, is it rewatchable? I think it is, to kind of spot new things and kind of different things. And yeah, I think it is definitely bingeable. Yeah, 7.
So I gave it a 7.5. I think, yes, bingeable. It did come out weekly, but I think if I was to start it now that everything's released, I think I would get through it pretty quickly. It keeps you engaged, on the edge of your seat. Now, having watched it, would I watch it again? Yes, mainly to try and pick up things I did in the first time. But I don't know if the experience would be the same now that you know what's going to happen. So maybe if I was to redo the scoring again after watching it a second time, who knows what would happen with it. So what was your total score?
Out of 100, it gets well-deserved 77%, and I think that's pretty fair. It is a very unique show, though. I think the critics on Rotten Tomato and some audience don't understand in a way, but I can understand. I think it's that sort of show that doesn't appeal to everyone, but I think the reason why people aren't scoring it that well is because it's weird and different, and unfortunately we don't like different. So yeah, that's why they scored it low, but I scored it 77.
I felt just a little bit lower than that at 75%. I think was unique, and the acting was the standout. And I just think it doesn't appeal to that many people, which is probably where it hurt it. So moving from the scores, does this show have an X factor? Is there something about it that makes it stand out above the others, or is it the opposite's got no factor, no X factor?
I would say with the X factor, the acting and originality, definitely this is what you need to watch this show for, and to see the story for its personalities.
I think for me, the X factor it should have had was the fact that it is a really pivotal point in American history, but I don't think it sold that. So it actually, for me, lacks an X factor. It was there, they just didn't utilize it. So it definitely could have been tweaked and made a bit better, but I think 75% isn't a horrible score for it. But comparing it to
Blackbird?
Yeah, well, Apple TV seem to have a pretty good strike rate with limited series, and this one, not going to say it's bad, it's just the worst of a good bunch.
Well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. And as always, you're awesome and keep being awesome. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.